Hello, I'm Kyle Bradshaw, and welcome to this week's Cruiser Customizing Tip of the Week. For the last 8 months, we've been dressing up Delilah here, and this Saturday she goes home. Before we send her on her way, we're going to make one last final oil change using the new Motorex Legend oil and a HiFlow filter. The oil change process, be it a metric or Harley-Davidson, is pretty similar. You're going to have a drain plug, an oil filler cap, and then a filter. On this particular model, the filter is internal. We're going to have to remove this cover, pull the filter out, and then put the new filter in. Unlike most modern motorcycles, which have an external filter that screws on just like your car. Most metric models, you need a 17mm wrench. This will remove both your drain plug as well as a K&N filter if you have the one that has the welded on nut. In this case, we're going to need a 4mm Allen key to take this external cover off, and then this large cover behind it takes a 5mm. A couple extra tools, but the process is still extremely simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this bike up, let it run for about 5 minutes, get up to operating temperature. We're then going to jump over to the other side where we remove the drain plug and the filler cap. With your motorcycle sufficiently warmed up, you're now ready to start the oil change process. We're now going to remove our oil filler cap here at the top, and then remove our drain plug at the bottom. Notice this does not have a dipstick on it. The oil level is checked on this motorcycle by looking down here at the sight glass. I'm going to go ahead and remove the drain bolt, so come on in close and take a look. So this right here is the drain bolt. I know it's really hard to see. What we're going to do is we're going to take our 17mm wrench, we're going to set it up here in place. Now, remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So what we're going to do is crack it loose, then set our drain pan in place. With our drain pan in place, we're going to go ahead and loosen this bolt, making sure not to drop it in the bucket if you can. And then we're going to remove it. What make sure you do every time you change your oil, washers keep your motorcycle from leaking oil. Now, as you might be able to see here, this particular drain plug has 2 different washers. That's really a no-no. We're going to go ahead and rectify that situation tonight. Now, my oil is happily draining on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and use a 4mm Allen key, remove these 3 screws right here, and then a 5mm to get the 3 that are left over. Now, before I begin that process, I'm going to go ahead and protect my pipe and chrome surfaces here just by putting a rag, cloth, or something like that over that surface. With that outside cover removed, I'm now going to switch to my 5mm socket, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the 5 bolts that are holding this outside cover on. I'm going to take my secondary drain pan, go ahead and set it in place because this is going to leak oil when this cover comes off. Removing each of these bolts, go ahead and set them into a position that you know exactly where they came out, because as you can see, they are different sizes. Now it's at this stage that I usually take a look at the inside, wipe it down, and double check and make sure that this O-ring here is in good condition. If this O-ring looks perfect, as this one does, there's no need to replace it. But if there's any cracks or wear on this O-ring, go to your dealership, get a new one. It's imperative. And now remove my old oil filter. Before installing a new oil filter, make sure that all of the same fittings are there. As you can see, both sides of these are identical. And all we're going to have to do is slip this into the housing. I have wiped down all the surfaces, so before I button this thing up, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this brand new oil, both of the seals on either end of your filter. The filter sits inside the motor, so it's not quite so imperative, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, just to cover my bases. And now I'm going to reinstall my cover. Now this side's all buttoned up, let's head back over to the other side. We're going to replace our drain plug, fill it with oil, and then check our levels. As you can see here, I've gone ahead and removed both of the washers that were on here before. And now I'm going to install my brand new washer to make sure we get no leaks on this side. I usually wipe down the surface just before I screw the bolt in to make sure that there's no residue of oil down here. That way, in case there is a leak, I can go ahead and see it immediately. We're extremely lucky because the oil filler is extremely accessible. Now in some situations, be it a simple funnel or an extreme funnel can help you get the job done a lot easier. Now with this particular application, we really don't even need a funnel because it's so accessible. But we're going to toss this one up here. Now if you don't have a funnel, here's a quick trick for you. At the top of the oil bottle, you can put 2 small holes. One will be the pour hole and the other will be the vent hole, allowing you to not have to worry about this entire nozzle full of oil going into the motorcycle. Get a small stream just like this. From this angle here, you can see the sight glass has no oil in it right now. As I pour oil into the motorcycle, you'll be able to see the oil run through the sight glass, and then we should be able to see it land at its ultimate position. Now our sight glass is reading about where it should, and if you take a look at the oil bottle, we've used about 2 1/4 quarts of oil. Now what we're going to need to do is fire the bike up, let this oil run through it, and then recheck our level. Now as the oil settles from the top back down to the bottom of the case, you can see here in the sight glass that it's raising back up to where it should be. Lila looks like she has the perfect amount of oil. Now an oil change like this should take between a half hour and 1 hour in your own garage at home. Doing your own oil change can save you a bundle when it comes to both time and money. Thank you for watching this week's Cruiser Customizing Tip of the Week. Until next week, take care and ride safe.